It's time to predict, preview, and prognosticate here on Talking 10 TV. Up on the docket now is the Big Ten's marquee matchup of the week as Penn State travels to Kinnick Stadium to take on the Iowa Hawkeyes. These two teams have a rich and recent history despite not being in the same division ever since the Big Ten went all legends and leaders on us. This game is marquee thanks to the fact that both come in unblemished on the season, albeit in completely different fashion. Penn State has looked dominant, while Iowa comes in with plenty of questions surrounding just how good that 3-0 start really is. Answers are bound to come, but what is our most burning question entering this game? My one burning question: which team actually showed who they really were in non-conference play? Now, this matchup is one of the rare ones entering conference play because we've got two Big Ten teams that have had similar non-conference journeys. Both took on an in-state Power 5 rival and then two seemingly minnows. For Penn State, it was sandwiching a win against Pitt between beatdowns of Akron and Georgia State. For Iowa, it was sandwiching a narrow win over Iowa State between wins over Wyoming and North Texas. Now, those seem pretty similar, but 3-0 starts aside, these teams couldn't have looked more different in non-conference play. Penn State has beaten opponents by a combined 141-14. Defensively, they've pitched a pair of shutouts, and offensively, they've been easily one of the more dynamic offenses in the entire country. Iowa, on the other hand, they struggled offensively in the opener against Wyoming and relied on their defense to win that game against the Pokes. The very next week in the annual Cy-Hawk game in Batnuts Crazy Jack Trice Stadium, the offense went Batnuts crazy while the defense couldn't stop the Cyclones. And then that same offense, the next week went down a few key parts against North Texas, and the wheels came off the tracks in a seemingly easy 31-14 win. However, that wasn't totally the case, as the visitors from just outside Dallas were in control for most of the first half before fading away on both sides of the ball after the intermission. The question here is if we can believe that what was put on film over the first few weeks is reality for these two teams or not. Now, if these two teams we saw in the first 3 weeks are the same as the ones that come to play in Kinnick Stadium on Saturday, this could get ugly for the hosts. After all, only one of these teams has put together a quality game from start to finish, and it ain't the folks in black and gold. Now, if film lies, sure, then Iowa could surprise a lot of people, as Penn State will be traveling away from the confines of Happy Valley for the first time this season, and that test can always play tricks on people. We'll see which scenario plays out. They say stats don't lie. So which two are the biggest keys to this game? First up is the number 14. That is the number of points Penn State's defense has given up through 3 games so far this season. Blanking Akron and Georgia State may not set the world on fire, but anytime you can hold any FBS opponent out of the end zone for 60 minutes, you are doing something right. Now, does that mean Penn State's defense is as dominant as the stat sheet currently says? Well, Penn State did give up 14 points to a mediocre Pitt team, and that may be being kind to the Panthers. Still, this has been one heck of a start to the season by the Nittany Lions defense, and with Iowa's inconsistency on offense, that has to be a worry for the hosts. The number 3 is my second stat for this game. It's got a double meaning. Iowa and Penn State may both be 3-0, but only the Hawkeyes have trailed in all 3 games this season. More than any stat about this game, this one jumped off the page at me. Trailing to Iowa State in a rivalry game? Sure, expect that to happen, especially under Kirk Ferentz. Trailing to Wyoming? That's a quality program, actually. But trailing to North Texas? No, it wasn't some 3-0 early advantage for the Mean Green. They actually led 14-10 at the half and looked better than the Hawkeyes did. Now sure, Iowa turned things around in the second half, but this team can't afford to get down to Penn State and expect to win on Saturday night. Penn State will pounce and not let go. It's as simple as that. We now move on to our 3 key players. Number 1 on my list here is Nate Stanley, Iowa's quarterback. Akram Wadley and James Butler were injured last week, and only Wadley is back for the Big Ten opener. That means there's a greater chance that quarterback Nate Stanley is going to be counted on to produce big-time results. The good news is that the first-year starter has exuded moxie and quality work through the first 3 games. He's completed 61.4% of his passes for 655 yards. Oh, and his 10 touchdown passes through 3 weeks tops the Big Ten. My second player, Sharif Miller, defensive end, Penn State. Now, one way to counteract a quality quarterback is to get pressure on him and make him scramble against a tough secondary. No one on the Nittany Lions defense has been doing as much as Miller so far this season. He leads the team with 2 sacks, has 4 tackles for loss as well, all while not having to play the amount of snaps that could pile up crazy numbers because of blowout victories in 2 of 3 games. Can Miller be productive against a good but not great Iowa offensive line? My third player in this game, Torin Young, running back from Iowa. We've already mentioned Akram Wadley's injury last weekend. He'll get the start, but who knows how long he's going to be able to go. With Butler out for sure, this makes redshirt freshman Torin Young a big part of the Hawkeyes' offensive game plan. Young got his first taste of college football last weekend, carrying the ball 19 times for 78 yards in his debut against North Texas. Can Young provide the quality needed to not put too much pressure on Wadley and Nate Stanley to do it all? My prediction, folks, well, it's going to be Penn State 38, Iowa 17. There is no doubt that this is the biggest of the Big Ten games, and the spotlight will be squarely on Kinnick Stadium on Saturday night. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. However, it is difficult to see this game really being a good one. I mean, you've got Trace McSorley versus Nate Stanley, Penn State advantage. Saquon Barkley versus Akram Wadley, Penn State advantage slightly. Penn State's defense versus Iowa's defense, advantage Penn State. Now, this is a game set up to be a nightmare for the Hawkeyes, especially given what they put on film against Iowa State just 2 weekends ago. For Talking 10, this is Andy Coppins. Have yourselves a great college football Saturday, and keep on living the B1G life by simply subscribing below and spreading the word of all things Talking 10 TV.